Good morning, welcome to day 24 of the Geriatric 1944 Coronavirus Diaries. It is day 24, isn't it? They're all beginning to blur into one. I wanted today to talk in general about more personal matters, but before I get into that, after my diary yesterday, I had several people contact me and say, you're absolutely right about the Nightingale hospitals, which I call the white elephants, that the government decided, completely influenced by the media howling, the NHS is going to collapse, there aren't enough ventilators, this is a plague, it's the end of the world. So the media do the hype and make this trivial virus into a plague that's killing millions. The government, of course, don't bother to actually look into anything with any depth. They change laws and make laws at a moment's notice, which is always a very bad idea. So they decide to set up these enormous hospitals so that they can look after all the people who are suffering and who need ventilators. And they build them, I have to say, brilliantly with the army and all the various armed forces, all NHS, people volunteering. And the one here in London, in the Excel Centre, can have 4,000 beds with ventilators. 4,000 beds, 4,000 ventilators. And when they built it, whilst saying this is brilliant, I also said, this is fucking stupid. I really do begin to lose hope. Well, I've had people call me, and indeed, in this 4,000 bed hospital with 4,000 ventilators, there are currently 19 patients. 19 patients! They could have used all the fucking money and devotion and army and armed forces, navy, air force. They could have used them doing much more intelligent, useful things like protecting and treating the vulnerable. I would suggest, example, all the care homes. They should all have been provided with extra ventilators, extra nearby rooms for isolation for those who got coronavirus. Those are the people, we are the people who are vulnerable, the elderly, those with underlying health conditions, and as I said, I suspect smokers and various others like that. No, the government just fell for the media hype and did it the media way. I'm really thinking of starting a class action and suing probably the BBC, representing worldwide media, and Boris Johnson, representing worldwide government and politicians. I'd like to sue you. You're the ones who are responsible. You stupid, gullible, foolish lemmings who just fell for and accepted the media hype. It was a bit ridiculous, and I'm 75 and I can't be bloody bothered. But I'm very, very tempted, I have to say. And I look at all that money wasted building these things. You know what I'd do with it now? You've got a lovely 4,000 bed hospital. I'd bring in, please, all the people in the refugee camps who are going to get coronavirus and are going to die because they're living cheek by jowl, all the elderly and the vulnerable and those with underlying health conditions, the Rohingya in Bangladesh, the Syrians in Turkey, millions of people who are in misery there, who the media don't care about because you, the stupid fucking public, don't care about them. I'd bring them into the Excel Centre Nightingale Hospital and cure them. Well, you not cure them because, as you know, 50% of people on ventilators die anyway, but that's the way it goes. You look at what's been going on around the world, it is clear this is a trivial virus. For 99% of people who get it, it's a trivial virus, mild symptoms, if any at all, slight cold, flu, over. For that 1% who get it, it is terribly dangerous, very serious, and quite often kills people. But when I say quite often, I mean a tiny little percentage. Look at all the other countries and all the various assorted statistics. They all treat people in different ways and have dealt with this in different ways. Some have had no lockdown at all. Others have had the same lockdown but for shorter periods. Some have concentrated on the vulnerable. But look at the figures. They're fascinating. If you look at Germany, for example, in Germany, 134,753 cases with a mere 3,804 deaths so far. Very few deaths. Look at Sweden. Sweden, which didn't really have a lockdown, 11,927 cases so far and a mere 1,203 deaths. Look at Taiwan. 395 people have got coronavirus or have got some kind of connection with coronavirus. How many deaths? 6. Italy, which is probably the worst for handling it, have had so far 165,155 people catch coronavirus and 21,645 deaths. So what about the UK? Well, who knows? But at the moment, people are slowly starting to turn. Even the media, which loves a good story and will exaggerate and hype anything, which is carrying loads of individual cases and people like Captain Tom who have raised £12 million for the NHS and all the grand stories, we, the public, because the media represents what we, the public, are interested in, don't give a fuck about people dying of cancer for smoking too much. Don't give a fuck about people who died from flu or pneumonia or whatever came along with flu. Don't give a fuck about measles and all the other things, mainly because a lot of those things, like cigarettes, bring in lots of money to the government and advertising to the media. You look at all those ones, you don't care, media doesn't care, why should the public be bothered? But this is a great story. So the media has built up, the emperor has a fabulous new suit, and you, the public, all go, yes, what a beautiful new suit it is. Well, I'm terribly sorry, I'm here to tell you, the emperor is naked. I've had lots of other calls as well about my life in general. This is a photograph of a painting done by a dear friend of mine. I've got a couple who are really close friends of mine in France who I met. I've known them about 30 years. And the guy is a painter, amateur painter, and did this lovely painting of me. He worked before he retired in the factory in France that does the labels for champagne bottles. And I went and visited him there once, and it was absolutely fascinating because he got out of their sort of museum this enormous book which had all the labels of champagne bottles going right the way back, because they've done it for hundreds of years. The early days before printing, when they were handmade, hand-painted individual labels. My jaw was dropping from 500-600 years ago. These incredible labels. One of the most interesting things that ever happened to me. Anyway, they're still dear friends. I see them every year. And he did this painting of them, which I thought is fun. And I've had several comments about music that I've made. One in particular talks about Sound 9418, which was my album that I made of instrumental type tracks. Not all instrumental, but quite a few of them. And asking if I'd play one of those tracks for you to hear. Mainly they were based on the old Glenn Miller big band kind of thing, but updating them and changing them a bit. And one of them was actually quite a big hit, top 50, did about a couple of 100,000 copies. And I put the album out, which sold quite well. So for you here today, at the end of today's diary, see you tomorrow, and I leave you with a touch of Sound 9418, which is me, and an instrumental called Stranger on the Shore.